What does it take to build a thriving cafe from the ground up? Today, I'm sitting down with Vanessa Bishop, the founder and owner of the Bishop's Brew Café. From crafting the perfect menu to creating an atmosphere that keeps customers coming back, Vanessa has built more than just a cafe, she's built a community. In this episode, we're diving into the challenges of launching a coffee shop, the power of local partnerships, and the role of social media and small business success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a cafe enthusiast, or someone who dreams of turning passion into profit, this episode is packed with insights you won't want to miss. Thanks for listening. Hello, and thank you for tuning into Business and Beyond. My name is Brian Braga, and I am your host. And today we are joined by Vanessa Bishop, founder and owner of the Bishop's Brew Café in the heart of Hespeler Village. Vanessa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. This is my first podcast ever and kind of nervous, but very excited.
Well, no need to be nervous. I'm super excited to have you on here. And just a little backstory, I actually worked with Vanessa a few years ago. We both worked at a factory for like one summer. And I remember her telling me about her career aspirations and how she wants to open a business. And it's just crazy to see where we were back then to now you owning your own business and being very successful in your space. So it's like a nice homage to when we were working together.
Yeah, that was during COVID too. And I think it was crazy because I didn't know how I was going to get to where I am right now. But I remember us talking about like, we had a countdown because it was a factory job. So we had a countdown on a whiteboard and we were like, hey, how many days until we're out of here? Just had to make some quick money for the summer, but it was definitely, it's funny to look back on that and how young we were then.
Yeah.
To see where we are now.
Crazy to see what's happened since COVID. For those who don't know you or know the Bishop's Brew Cafe, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Vanessa Bishop. I am the owner of the Bishop's Brew. I own the Bishop's Brew and another business as well. I come from a very entrepreneurial family. My parents both own businesses, and so I guess that kind of inspired me and my two sisters to start our own business in 2020 during COVID. And then the cafe kind of that's been a dream since I was like 7 years old. So I went to school for hospitality and some culinary as well. And then the dream kind of just took part all throughout. I think it really took off in 2021. And then here we are. 4 years later.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And I know I've worked at a few restaurants and some of them were family restaurants. And I know the profit margin for a restaurant and being in hospitality is so small. Like you really have to be successful and put in the work to be successful. And you really put in the work. What's inspired you to open the Bishop's Brew Cafe then? Like what really started the cafe dream and brought you to that, I guess, angle of business?
I remember when I was 7, my parents, we used to go to a restaurant and we had the same one that we went to. And I used to tell them like, I am going to open a restaurant or a cafe at the age of 7. And they're like, okay. And this is how I know manifestation is real, because that idea and like the way it came into like fruition is kind of crazy. And I just like, I knew it was going to happen at some point. I remember like skip forward to high school. I did a lot of like the hospitality programs and kind of just to figure out like if I actually really wanted to do it or not. And I worked serving jobs forever. And I love just being around people, and I loved serving. So I knew that was something that inspired me into the cafe. I think, what was the question again?
It was what inspired you to open Bishop's Brew and go down the cafe route?
Yeah, I think it was just working with people in general and owning my own business. Like I think everyone has that dream to make your own hours, and it is, you might work more than the average person, but at the same time it doesn't feel like work. So I think that was a big inspiration for me.
Nice. So that's amazing to hear. And I know you're nestled right in the heart of the Hespeler Village. How did you decide on the Hespeler community to call your home?
So we actually were gonna open a spot in Kitchener, and we had everything set out. We had bought like almost all of like the espresso machine, the grinder, a bunch of things off of the girl who we were gonna take the lease over. And then I think 2 weeks before we were supposed to get it, it fell through. And that was tough because it felt like maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is like, it was the perfect spot. And then probably 6 months later, me and my dad were walking around Hespeler because our family had Easter dinner up there, and we saw that that place was vacant, and we were like, huh, it's been on the market for like 4 years, and we were wondering like, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Like, why has no one taken it? But we reached out to our real estate agent, and he looked into it, and I think maybe people just didn't want to take on the project because it was so much work that you had to put in. It was literally just a shell. But I started looking into like Hespeler events and their community, and I was like, this is the perfect spot. Like, although it doesn't have parking, it's a lot of foot traffic.
Nice.
So I think what inspired us to be there was the amount of community that Hespeler kind of harbors.
Yeah. Nice. And what was the biggest challenge you faced when opening the Bishop's Brew?
Oh, there's so many. I think like it was a personal challenge to have the confidence that like I was going to be able to do it. I think there was a lot of times where I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was 23, so green to everything. And I think like if I could go back, I would just have some more confidence in myself and in the fact that it was going to work out, because so many times I was like, this isn't even a great, like the economy is not good. I don't know how I'm going to get people through the door. I have no marketing experience, but everything worked out, and I wish I could go back and tell myself that.
Nice. Yeah, that's a very good answer. And how did you go?
Thank you.
How did you go about designing the atmosphere and the vibe of your cafe?
It's funny you asked that. I was hoping you were going to ask that because I want people to know it. I think I like thrifting. I like collecting little trinkets, silly trinkets. So I think that was like my biggest inspiration, is I wanted it to feel like you were walking into like your grandma's house. And I wanted it to feel like the atmosphere was comfortable and cozy, and like I remember when we were picking out even the paint, I was like, the paint has to be perfect, and the name of the paint was called Morning Zen.
Nice.
And I was like, yep, that's the one. And I think it just like, even the color inside has to be, it sets an entire vibe.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of like what I was going for. And I knew I wanted wood in there too, because I wanted that, like, there's so much natural lighting, and I was excited to play off the colors, and like, yeah, I think the biggest vibe for it is, I would describe it as like, you're going to your grandma's house. Nice. For like milk and cookies or something.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. And I've been in there a few times, and I feel like when you walk in the place, it feels very intentional. Like, it doesn't feel like you walk in and just happen to have tables here and you have a board somewhere. It wasn't like thrown around. Like, you could tell it was very intentionally placed, very much hand selected for every single thing that's in there. And that's something that takes a lot of care and pride for your cafe, versus someone who's just in it for an investment piece. Like, you really care about your cafe, and you care about how someone feels going into it and enjoying their cafe, or enjoying their coffee or their baked good. What was the process of curating your menu, and how did you choose which drinks and baked goods you wanted to include?
The menu was kind of like a last minute thing. I knew the drink side, but I wasn't sure on the food side. I wasn't sure what we were going to do. And that was also something that was so new to me, like ordering food and like what's going to go bad. How do we do an inventory? Like, that was something that came along the way. The drinks, I got lucky because the head barista and manager of the cafe, she actually came to me probably a month before we opened, and she asked if we were hiring. And I said, oh, I don't think we need anyone right now. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I definitely need someone. I can't do every single day. So we brought her in, and I was so lucky to have her. She's got like 10 years of experience.
Wow.
Like, she has Starbucks experience, and she worked at a few cafes in Toronto. I know she worked at Monograms as well. Like, her resume was stacked, and like, she was the perfect person for the job. So I got lucky there. A lot of the drinks are inspired by Katie. She kind of just comes up with all of them. I ask her like, oh, even the new Zodiac menu, I'm like, let's do a Zodiac menu. I think people will like it. And she came up with 12 drinks in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like a great process. I took a look at your Google page. You have whopping reviews. You're at like a stellar 4.8. How does that make you feel about your cafe and your business?
It makes me feel good, but I wish it was a 5.
If it makes you feel better, I took a look at some like the lower scored ones and they make no sense. So
Yeah, I know. I try not to look at it too much. Like I definitely am very proud of the higher rating. But you can't take everything too personally because the bad ratings, I just like they don't always make sense.
yeah,
But the ones that are good, I think it's because we have such a good culture at the cafe of like the biggest thing for me was staffing. Like when someone walks in the door, I want them to feel like they're welcomed. And that makes your entire experience. Like somehow that makes the coffee taste better, I
yeah,
feel like.
I
So
agree.
I
And
think that's a big reason why the ratings are so good.
yeah, and every time I've walked into, it's like the barista right away is greeting me and welcoming me in. And people are so quick to leave bad reviews also when they have like a subpar experience, and they're not as quick to leave good reviews. So it is really hard getting those higher reviews consistently coming in because people go and have a great experience, but that's what they expect, so therefore they don't leave a review. And that's how often how it goes in hospitality. How do you
Yeah.
differentiate yourself from other cafes?
I think pretty much the atmosphere and the menu items. I think we try to keep it as fresh as possible. The soups and sandwiches, I think it's going to be hard to differentiate yourself because it's just a classic cafe.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to like what bread you use, how you present it. Is the soup made in house? I think that's kind of the biggest thing for us. But I think it would definitely have to be staffing.
Yeah, that's
Like
fair.
that's probably the one thing when people walk in, they know like Katie and Allie, they know them. They're like, I
Mm.
know the food's gonna be good, and I know Katie's gonna greet me at the door, and the conversation's gonna be good.
Yeah. And what's your best
The rest of my staff is amazing too. I don't want to
Yeah.
disregard them. Like
Yeah.
I love my all of my team. I'm not there so much on the weekends, but I'm grateful that I have like my weekend staff to take over
Yeah.
that area as well.
Shout out the weekend staff. Shout out all the staff.
Yes, 100%.
Extra shout out Katie and Allie, but also shout out everyone else.
Yes,
Yeah. What's your best selling menu item?
I think it's muffins.
Really? Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna have to try the
yeah,
muffins when I go in there. I haven't tried any food item yet. I've tried a lot of the coffee. Shout out the strawberry matcha. I've been raving about
yeah.
that to many people. Anyone who says they like matcha, I'm like, you have to go try a strawberry matcha. I know a place. So
It's so good.
it is so good. I'm going to go touch on community again because you mentioned that community is such a staple of your business, and especially is in Hespeler. I know Hespeler has a lot of pride. Hespeler would fully detach themselves from Cambridge if they could. So
100%.
what role does community support play in your success?
I think it plays like a huge part in it just because one, there's no parking. So you really have to play on the fact that like you're going to get the foot traffic. And then two, like even when they shut the street down in the summer, I think that brings a lot of people for us because that builds community. And also when someone is like, when they live in Hespeler, it's ride or die Hespeler. And I also live in Hespeler now. Like when I opened the cafe, I also bought my condo in Hespeler.
Mm,
I was like, okay, I guess I'm just like full Hespeler
nice.
now. So I think it was, I think it plays a huge role into the success. And most of our like customers are from Hespeler or the building above us.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing about your cafe that I really enjoy is you partnered with a lot of local artists and local artisan like vendors, and you have their products displayed in your store available to sell. How did you go about creating these partnerships?
So, like my other business, we're in there, like Sava Crystals. Um, so my sister makes all of the jewelry, and then we kind of just put it up whenever we have new drops. Debbie Ellis, she's another one. She came to me and asked if she'd be okay to put um, like cards in there, and she does a lot of work. Like all of her designs are pretty much of Hespeler or Galt or different parts of Cambridge. So I was like, this is kind of perfect. Like if someone wants a birthday card along the way or they want to support Debbie, she's also very local. So that's how we went about that. And then there's also some scrunchies in there as well. It's a girl I went to high school with, and I ended up reaching out to her, and we kind of came up with a partnership there as well.
Nice. And I also see you host community events, and you have one coming up. It's a book swap on March 30th. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Karen, she's a realtor, I believe. I don't know who she's with, but she came to me and asked if we want to use the space for a book swap. And I honestly, my thing is like just say yes. Say yes to anything you can, because if you don't, it's a missed opportunity. And I think I struggled with that at the beginning. So I was like, let's say yes to everything and we can go from there. But that's just one of the events we have, which is going to be um, you bring a book, swap it with a friend, get a free drink. We also have a lady coming in and she's doing complimentary cookies, I
Hmm.
believe. And we've done events with her as well, where she comes into the cafe and she does like a cookie night. So it kind of all intertwines.
Yeah.
Somehow everyone knows each other, and it blows my mind, but it's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you have any other events coming up that haven't been announced quite yet, or is that it for the horizon so far?
We have like Sava does bracelet making nights there, where we do like we set up all of our beads and then people can make bracelets, and then we also usually have someone on the other side to do a workshop. So last time we had an essential oil lady, like doTERRA, or and she did something with them on the other side. So we're doing that again. We did yoga last year on the patio, which is really cool. And I'm hoping to do that again. I just kind of need to find someone who wants to utilize the space because we have so much space.
Nice. And I know you mentioned Sava Crystal a couple times, like another business that you're a part of. How do you balance being part of Sava Crystals as well as managing and being part of the Bishop's Brew?
I just, I kind of split it 50-50. So like when I get up, I'll go run around for the cafe, go cover their breaks, do any marketing that I have to do. And then the second half of my day will be kind of towards Sava. So yeah, I kind of split it up as even as I can. When one cafe, like when the cafe is busier, I try to stay there as much as I can. But I also run Sava with my two sisters, so like a lot of like if I'm not there, they can pick up the slack and vice versa. Like if they're away, one of us can pick up the slack.
Nice. And switching gears over to social media, what role has social media had in building your cafe's brand and attracting new customers?
Well, I think it definitely gets a younger crowd in. I try to utilize Instagram as much as I can. It's definitely it's a it's a crazy world out there
Yeah.
when it comes to social media though. It's like I think it plays a little bit into your mental health as well.
Mm,
Like the amount of times you go and scroll, like what are my views at, or like in what sounds are trending right now. I'm like, okay, I need to take a step back a little
yeah.
bit. But I am very happy for Instagram because it brings in such a different demographic than maybe something like Facebook would, or I think TikTok and Instagram get me that younger crowd.
Yeah. And for having no marketing experience as well, like your Instagram looks very good. I don't know if you're on TikTok. I haven't found you on TikTok yet. Are you on?
I am, but
Ah, shout out
I am,
TikTok.
but it's yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, but you have a quite a large following on there. Well, large for Cambridge standards, I suppose. But you have a really good following. All your community on there is like ride or die as well. What type of content do you find resonates with your audience the most?
I think I get a lot of the views from like if I do something kind of targeted around baristas, like I think it just hits a different like group of people, but people like the funny ones and I don't know, I think probably the Instagram reels get me the most views.
Yeah, nice. I find the Instagram Reels often outreach to more new viewers as well, which I find is very nice.
Yeah.
How did you handle the financial aspects of launching a business, especially with a physical location?
So when we first opened, well, before we even opened, we applied for a lot of grants from the city, which I got super lucky because I got a big chunk of money from the city of Cambridge, I believe. And then the building that I was under, they also gave me like a certain amount of money that I could use
Nice.
towards actually renovating the place. I think the renovations were like, don't quote me on this, but somewhere between like 200,000 to 300,000 maybe, all in. Like it was a lot, but we got a lot of that money kind of reimbursed through
Yeah.
grant programs,
Hmm.
and then pretty much a line of credit. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't apply for it myself because I was so young and I didn't have healthy credit score at
Yeah.
that point. But
That makes a lot of sense.
it's good, but not as good as my parents' credit score.
Yeah.
So they applied for it, and then we kind of just went from there, and we bought a lot of stuff secondhand, just like on auctions and stuff, which is good because it works just as good as the new stuff, and we saved a ton of money.
Nice. Yeah. That's it's very good that you got a lot of grants, and I'm just imagining like the POV of like a bank teller. If you just like went in, you're like, I want a line of credit. You're just 23.
Yeah, I know. They'd be like, get out of here.
Yeah, they'd be like,
kid.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, literally.
Very confused.
Like, not happening.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone looking to open their own cafe or food hospitality business?
Definitely apply for grants.
Yeah.
Like, I would, if I was 200,000 in the hole, I think I would like, I don't know what I would do. Bury myself deeper, I guess. So apply for grants. I think make a vision board. Business plans are really important, but like make a vision board of like what you want it to feel like, what you want to see. I think the visual appeal definitely helps in the program a lot. What else would I'm trying to think. There's so many things that I wish I could go back and tell myself.
Yeah.
Like so many. And I think just maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Next question.
All right, fair. What has been the hardest moment for you as a business owner, and how did you overcome it?
A hard moment?
The hardest moment.
I think when I first opened, like I had a soft opening. And even after that, I had a meltdown. Like I remember coming home and like sitting in my, like going to the bathroom, locking the door, and like I was like, holy shit, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't think I can do this, because we signed a 10-year lease. I was like, how am I going to do this for 10 years? I don't know. I can't do this every day. And I think it was mostly because I was just so nervous, because you know when you start your first job and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing and I feel stupid and I want to know everything. I didn't know anything at that point, and I didn't have a manager to go to and be like, what do I do? I was the one people were coming to.
Yeah.
And I think that was really hard, and like kind of like, you know, what's that thing? Like imposter syndrome. I feel like I had a big imposter syndrome because I was the youngest out of all my staff pretty much. I had a lady who was working there who was, I think, in her 40s, and I was like, how am I going to tell her what to do?
Yeah.
But I think, I think that was my biggest problem at the beginning, was figuring out where, like, the confidence. I think that's where the confidence needs to come in.
Yeah. And how do you stay motivated on tough days where running a business feels overwhelming?
I reach out to my parents a lot when that happens. Like, I'll head to the group chat and tell them I'm having a bad day, and they'll cheer me up and tell me to keep going because we need to pay off the line of credit.
Nice. And when you feel like giving up, like let's say you locked, yourself in the bathroom, you're like, man, how am I going to do this? What kept you going other than paying off a line of credit?
I don't know. Sometimes I think I just kind of got up and was like, this is my life. This is what I'm doing. If I have a better plan, then I'll come up with one. But right now, this is kind of where I'm at. After I calm myself down from being hysterical about what my life is, I can get up and figure out, like, I can quit or I can keep going.
Yeah.
And there's no other option.
Nice.
It's like you have to pick one, and you have to be confident in what you decide.
Yeah. And what's next for Bishop's Brew? Do you have any future plans, exciting changes?
I think we wanted to open a second location, but I don't know if I want to do it the way we did it at the beginning. I think this one in Hespeler might be like kind of our home base. And I'm thinking maybe of doing, and I've always wanted to do this. I remember being in like at Conestoga for hospitality, and I made some business plans for the brew, actually. Like that's where a lot of this comes from. I did a lot of my planning there. And one of the plans was opening like a shipping container cafe.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So you pretty much just get the shipping container. You have to buy like somewhere that zones that specific kind of business. There's a lot to look into, but that was kind of an idea I've had for a while. That, or kind of like just a drive-through.
Nice. No in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like the in person, but I think it's like we miss that morning rush
Yeah.
demographic because not everyone can stop in and get a coffee.
Yeah, that's fair. I find those two propositions make you really unique too, rather than just another cafe of, oh, just a drive through or a shipping container. In terms of location, do you have any ideas yet?
I'm not sure. I would need to really check out like what cities give, because there's so many different laws and rules when it comes to building those kind of things. So I'd have to see which city is the most lenient.
Yeah, nice. That's fair. And for those who don't know where to find you, one, what's your address location? And then two, where can we find you online?
So we're at 49 Queen Street East in Cambridge, right on Queen Street in Hespeler Village. And then you can find us online at the Bishop's Brew Café, I think it is, on Instagram. We're on Instagram and we're on Facebook at the Bishop's Brew Café.
Nice. What's your TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
We are, yes.
Yes.
It's not great, but we'll get there.
That's fair. TikTok's hard to break through anyways.
I know. It's so much work.
Anyways, that's all the questions I have for you today. Do you have anything you want to mention before we sign off? Any questions for me?
No, I think I yapped enough.
Nice.
Tonight or today.
Yep.
Tonight.
Yeah, it's 9:43 a.m. for those listening. Just so they know.
Well, I've been up since 2 a.m. So.
Oh, my bad. You've been up since tonight. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. For those who are listening, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Business and Beyond. Please go to Bishop's Brew Cafe and get yourself a strawberry matcha. You absolutely earned it today. And if you enjoyed this podcast episode, please leave us a review and a rate of 5 stars, and we'll catch you on the next episode.